Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Marriage Matters. This is Glenn Coleman and my beautiful wife,
Tanya Coleman.
And we're the Colemans, and we are coming to you every week just giving you hopefully good information.
Yes.
Encouragement.
Yes.
And just some goals for you to shoot for in your marriage. Yep. You know, we believe that marriage is so critical and so important in today's society. And so we just want to just do our part to help encourage you with in and with your marriage and relationships.
Yes, and while we are having a good time doing it. So we hope that you guys are having a great time watching. We say thank you to the community that is building around Marriage Matters, and for you guys who are actually leaving comments and gathering in discussion. Thank you so much. That is so powerful and so encouraging to us. So let's keep it rolling. And we encourage some of you to join in on the conversation with your comments.
Yeah. And, you know, I'm just so grateful that we get the chance to do this.
Absolutely.
You know, and one of the things I think that made us so successful in our marriage, which I'm not saying our marriage is perfect, but I think we do a pretty good job, is that we had people in our lives who could speak to those areas. And so hopefully we can do that for some of you.
Absolutely.
So how was your week? You got anything special you want to share or anything?
No, my week was good. It was busy. I like busy weeks because they flow and you kind of get through your work week. Not that I'm ever trying to rush my work week. I love my work. So, but it was pretty good.
Nice save, you know. Your manager may be watching it. So nice save.
No, but seriously, I do. I love what I do.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but it was a really, really good week. I'm trying to get used to this new vitamin regimen that I'm on. Taking these vitamins 3 times a day, 10 in the morning, 10 at night, and 4 in the middle of the day.
Yeah, so look, let me just talk about this. So we are really, and we said this I think a couple weeks ago, we're trying to make a shift in our health.
Right.
And, you know, we're trying to hold each other accountable, but I want to say a shout out to Dr. Eric Snow.
Absolutely.
He is probably the guru on, in my opinion, on health and so if you want to make a turnaround, not just we're not talking about just losing weight. We're talking about living a healthy lifestyle.
And he it's from the inside out.
From the inside out.
So that is where Dr. Snow starts at the core. He is chiropractic, nutrition, holistic doctor, and the care is just excellent. The service is excellent. Everything has been excellent, from me having to sit with someone on the phone to schedule my appointments for the next 3 months, and she literally sat with me for like 20 minutes to walk through the process. So it's really, really great. We're just getting started in this process. I had a friend gift me a new Beachbody program with the 21-day fix. So I'm learning all of that stuff to begin incorporating the little measuring cups, and we'll talk to y'all about that once I get it going.
You can give a shout out Angel Balance.
Shout out to Angel Balance and her Beachbody Fit Mama. Find her on Instagram and Facebook. She is amazing, close friend, and she has literally transformed not just her body but her life through Beachbody. So we are pulling on some resources so that we can be our best selves, so that we can be here for a lifetime, the lifetime that God has set us here for, to do the work that He's called us to do.
So again, those is Snow.
It's Snow Holistic Care, I believe it's the name of it.
And I'll put it up.
Yeah, we'll find it.
And also Angel Balance.
Angel Balance.
She's a Beachbody coach.
Coach. You may can find her
get at them. Holler at them. You know. So
yes, those are our people.
So anyway, but that's all part of marriage. But
yes,
absolutely. We always want to recommend something for you every week, and so this week I'm really excited. What we're gonna do is we're gonna start a challenge.
Yeah,
challenge.
Challenges.
So what we're gonna do, we're gonna spend a couple of weeks letting you get ready for this challenge. So what we're gonna do is we want to read a book together as a community. So Tanya and I are gonna be reading the book. So we want you to let us know in the comments if you want to be a part of this challenge. So what we want to do, we want to read the book, and actually it's 2 books. One for men and one is for the husband, one is for the wife.
Yes.
And maybe even if you're engaged, maybe you want to do this because
it would be
the
great
more
to do that
information you
beforehand.
can have, or the more, I said, the more information you can have going into marriage, the better.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe if you're engaged, maybe you want to get in on this challenge, but we're going to read the books. And then what we're going to do, we're going to plan on doing a show with several couples.
Yes, so you guys need to get together, read the books. You might be on the panel.
So we're gonna have a panel.
Yes.
We're gonna discuss the books. So the books are. He's like, "What's the books? What's the books?" So
Right.
here, the books are for men only and for women only.
Yes.
So there's a book called For Men Only, and there's a book called For Women Only by say her name,
Shanti
Feldahan.
Yes.
Shanti Feldahan. So we're gonna get those books, and so the For Men Only is a book about women, and the For Women Only is a book about men. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna get the books, and I'm gonna read the For Men Only book first. Tanya's gonna read the For Women. No, I'm sorry.
No, vice versa.
I'm gonna read the For Women Only book first. Tanya's gonna read the For Men Only book. And so we're going to highlight stuff in those books.
Make some notes.
That are important to us. Because like I said, the For Women Only book is for women that talking about men. The For Men Only book is for men talking about women. So we're going to swap books. We're going to read them, make some notes. We're going to give them to our spouse, to Tanya and I, and then we're going to read through them. And then we're going to come together and have a discussion about it. So that's going to be awesome.
It's going to be so fun. I'm so excited.
So if you want to get in on this, you want to go ahead and get your books For Men Only, For Women Only, and it's by Shanti Feldahan. Shanti Feldahan. And we're going to come together and maybe we're going to do a panel discussion, and we're going to produce a show when doing this. So if you'd like to be a part of that, get your spouse involved, get at us, leave us a comment, send us a message. Do something, let us know you want to be a part of that. So
yay, I'm excited. Right. I love it.
So we got a new segment for you guys. Something fun. We've been trying to, think of something fun we can do. So we're going to do a post of the week.
Post of the week.
So this could be from Instagram. It could be from Facebook. It could be from YouTube, from some social media outlet. But it's just a post. Maybe not necessarily have to do with marriage.
Right.
But it's just something that we find entertaining. So this week's post is...
It is Lil James Tucker. Lil James Tucker.
Why you gotta say it like that? Tucker.
Tucker. I don't know. Lil James Tucker. Is that better?
No, I'm just joking with it.
Well, I saw Lil James Tucker came across my Instagram feed this week. And I was like, okay, what is this little kid talking about? First of all, he was sitting there eating crawfish and crabs. So that caught my attention, first of all. And so when I stopped and, pressed the video and listened to this kid, and he was trying to convince his mom that this little girl was his girl. And James said, Mama, on life.
On life.
It's on life,
So
Mama.
here's the video.
Really don't.
She do. So she wasn't the first one.
James, nobody look. You a 5-year-old kid. You don't have to worry about no Bianca.
Yes, I do. She my girl. She my
James.
girl, bro. And that's on
First
life.
of all, no.
That's on life, Mama.
James, first-
That's on life. That's on life, Mama.
First of all, don't call me your bro. Second of all,
So that's my girl on life, Mama.
James, hold up, cause now you.
So yeah, on life.
He's serious. He's
On
committed
life.
at 5.
So Bianca, shout out.
Yes,
you know what I'm
wherever
saying?
and whoever you are, sweetheart.
Hey, but what's amazing? Two things is, number one, that's why it's so obviously he's been hanging out with somebody.
Yes.
So it's so
Older.
important as we as adults have to remember that our kids do more what we do than what we say. And so what type of imagery are we presenting to our kids? And number two, man, if we could get that committed.
Just a little bit of what James got
as
going
an
on.
adult, Tanya Copeland, that's my girl on
Yes.
life. On life. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know what I'm saying, bro?
Right.
On life.
Right. It was one
You
instance.
my girl on life.
One instance he said, "Mama, that's on life, Mama, bro, that's on life." And I was like, "Boy, you about to get a whooping."
Yeah, and the mama got in on him. So anyway,
yeah, she did. It was just so funny.
Hopefully you enjoyed that video.
Yes.
We enjoyed it. So let's get into today's topic.
Yes.
Today's topic. We're talking about preferences and principles.
Yeah.
Preferences and principles. And I know I'm putting you on the spot here.
Oh wow.
But it's not bad. But you had looked up a definition. Tanya likes definitions. So
I do.
you want to
like
kind of give a
definition.
synopsis? Can you remember the difference between a principle and a preference?
So a principle is something that is established on a foundational rule, so to speak, that is unchangeable. Like
Okay.
we're not changing this, or we can't change this because it will shift a lot of things, so to speak.
So I guess we could say, I like to use the word core value.
Yes, core
So
values.
at the
Very
core of
good.
me, this is important to me. That's
Right.
That's one of my principles that I
Right.
live by. Okay.
And then, so a preference is basically a like or a dislike. And it's also something that the like or the dislike or the preference can change in the moment. So this may be my preference today. However, tomorrow, because it's not as sunny out as it is today, tomorrow, my preference could change. You know, so on any whim or emotion or feeling, which is what your preferences are based off of, emotions and feelings, those things can change. A principle, however, because it is a core value, comes from a more central foundation. I think of almost like cement when you think about principle, because it's weighted down, it's heavy, and it's unmovable.
It's not flexible.
It's not flexible.
Yeah. So, like she said something key. And so before we move there, but let me put this into context. So we're talking about marriage. So, I was telling Tanya, I think that a lot of times in life, we spend so much time arguing over preferences.
Yeah.
And what I found in my marriage, that when I learned how to what's the word I'm looking for? I always forget this word.
Adjust.
Not adjust, and you always say adjust. Compromise, not compromise. Well, compromise is a good word. When we learn to compromise, compromise kind of has a negative connotation to it, though. But when we learn how to compromise on the preferences, it helps when you have to, or your spouse is more likely to stand with you on the principle.
Sure.
Because the preferences in life, you'll find they come up in a form of contention or disagreement more often than the principles do.
Right.
You know,
it's amazing how we will fight for my preference. I don't want to eat there.
Exactly.
That's not the color paint that I chose. And,
Right.
all of these different things. And we will literally fight to stand our ground based on something that we want.
And it's something that really does not matter.
It doesn't
10
matter
years
in
from
the
now,
scheme of things. It doesn't
10
matter.
years from now, the color of paint on the walls really is not gonna
Right.
matter.
You're going to probably change it anyway.
Gotta
before
change
10
it
years.
anyway. Yeah. Yeah. You probably won't even live in that house for 10 years.
Right.
I think the average they said is like, what was it, 5 years or something like that
Yeah.
people stay in houses nowadays? Anyway.
Right.
That's a little soon for me. I don't like moving. But anyway. So we have to learn. It's like what are you need to look at if you're having arguments. You need to look at the basis of those arguments. Is it arguments over principles,
Right.
or is it arguments over preference?
Right.
And if it's the preference thing, man, look, just give in.
Yeah.
Learn to compromise. Okay.
You have to be fluid with things.
You got to be fluid, because here's the thing. Like Tanya was saying, so I was thinking about with preferences from years ago when I was 16. My preferences at 16 are way different
absolutely.
than my preferences at 40.
Right.
Totally different
Right.
preferences. At 16 or even, at 20, I was all about, it was just different.
Yeah.
But now that I'm 40, it's like some of those things I just don't prefer anymore.
Right.
So those change. But then there are some principles in my life. Like a principle for me is Christ.
Yeah, absolutely.
So my life has been, even when I was I was brought up in church.
Yeah.
And I always say that's probably the first place my mom took me after I was born.
I
The
believe
first
it.
public place I went to was probably
Yeah,
church.
yeah.
So I grew up there. So there's some principles that I found in that are just immovable in my life.
Absolutely.
And it's who I am at my core. So for you to ask me to compromise on that is a problem.
Right.
And so that's why it's so important. You know, we do a premarital class and it's 8 weeks.
Right.
It's 8 weeks class, 8 week class for couples getting married. And the thing I love about it is we don't just talk about the
high life of marriage.
Yeah,
all the
we really get down into these things, like what's important to your spouse, because you know a lot of people get married and they don't even know the principles,
right?
And they don't address the principles until they come to a head in the marriage.
Right.
But I want to know what's important to you before that, because
what's your core values?
Because
Where
here's the
did they
deal:
come from?
if we can't align, or I'll say this, a lot of divorce has to do with people not being able to align their core principles.
Yeah.
And it's just, I'm thinking of a couple right now who has just got a divorce. And I don't know how long they've been married, but they've been married maybe, I would say 10 years. And that's, you know, with talking to them, that's what it's just like. We're not the same. We don't have the same values.
Right.
So you need to determine in your marriage, what are the principles?
Yeah.
And then what's the preference?
Yeah.
And like I said, learn how to compromise on the preferences.
Yes.
Because it just really doesn't matter.
Right.
It really doesn't matter.
Yeah. So, I mean, there, like you said, Christ for you or for us is a principle, you know, choosing to tithe, although God gives us a choice, so to speak. It is a biblical principle that we live by. So it's something that is not changeable for us. Now, if we are talking about changing the paint colors in our home and we're talking about maybe going blue and we don't agree, I prefer deep sea blue and you prefer a more navy blue, you know, those things, we should have a discussion about them and try to come to, like you said, some sort of compromise or coming to agreement. But that is not worth a screaming match and someone walking out of the door and needing to take a break and a drive and all of that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Yeah. And oftentimes, you know, we find or see couples having deep-seated arguments and attitudes and all of these things based on things that are changeable. Yep. Based on things that are movable.
And I'll, like I said this earlier, but it's like I look at it, you know, 10 years from now, is this gonna have an impact? You know, moving forward. So, and I just thought about something. And a lot of times, I think that the arguing over the preferences is a indicator of something deeper.
Absolutely.
That's going on.
Absolutely. Whenever I see that within a couple or a person, even individuals, and having conversations with them, usually it's a sense of power and control. That individual is trying to hold on to. Either they have been in a situation where they have not had any power or control and someone has always told them what to do, and so they're now trying to gain that, you know, and so now they have an opportunity to have power and control in a certain situation or over someone else, or they have just always been very domineering and have found themselves with people who were more submissive. And they find it a challenge to have an equal. So it leads into a whole nother area that we have to look at individually if we want to have a successful marriage.
Yeah, and I think that's another reason why it's so important to learn how to compromise on the preferences, because you know, you can get to a place to where when you're the person in control or making the decisions in your marriage and telling your spouse, you know, you always got to have your way, always got to have your way, right. Always got to have your way, always got to have your way, always got to have your way. I think your spouse is going to come to a point to one day they're going to be like, it's just like when you put those type of parameters on someone, eventually they're gonna want to break free.
Oh yeah.
And then when they break free, that's like I said, that the big blow up over the color of the paint on the wall.
Right.
It's not just the paint on the wall. It's a history
of
of being
right.
Always
Subject to someone.
Yeah, subject to someone. That's my phone. I apologize. But so I think, and again, that's why it's so important that we understand the difference between the principle and a preference.
Yep, absolutely.
And the principles, like I said, are something that you should determine even before you go into marriage. You should know what as a matter of fact, my core values are up on my wall in my bedroom.
Yes, they are. Yes,
they're up on my wall, on my vision board. And so I can see them, my wife can see them, and these are things that are important to me, and these are things that I am not willing to compromise on.
Right.
And we know that, but the great thing about us is that our core values or our principles align in a lot of areas.
Yes, they do. Absolutely.
They align in a lot of areas. And so it helps for us, it helps us to navigate through some of the decisions that we make because we both have the same core values.
Yeah, which is important in marriage. You should seek to be with someone who you share the same or very similar core values with.
Yeah. And I actually, one more question and we'll wrap this episode up. But do you think that core values can change?
I do. I believe that as people, as we grow, and we grow by learning, and not just information, but also understanding and God speaking to your spirit as you grow, then yes, some of those things that you utilize as core values can change.
Yeah. And I agree with that. I think over time, and like Tanya was saying that because she compared the principles or the core values like cement.
Right.
It takes a lot longer to break that stuff up.
Correct.
And sometimes some of our core values can be
some of them need to change.
They need to change because they could be formed out of bad situations.
Right. Out of our history, how we grew up.
How we grew up, if we were abused growing up. So some of our core values they need to change.
Right.
But I'll just say this to the other spouse, you have to be patient because you have to realize that core values are not going to change overnight.
Correct.
And it's going to be a process. And you said something that one part of marriage is bringing healing to your spouse.
Absolutely.
And I think that's part of that process of walking through that and not getting frustrated at my spouse when she's not seeing or for some of you women when he's not seeing seeing things your way or what's important to you is not important to him and vice versa. So we need to be patient with each other. And the key to this, guys, is always what? The C word. Communication. Yep. You've got to communicate about everything
all the time. Often.
And I forgot the other one.
You're communicating about everything communicating often about everything honestly.
So being honest. So it's like if I don't
you have to edit that.
No, it's good. Yeah, we good. We keeping it real, man. On life. We keeping it real on life. So, but what was I gonna say?
I don't know.
Okay, I remember what I was gonna say. I don't. But anyway, so you have to be patient. Those things are not gonna change over. Oh, I know what I was gonna say. So whenever you have things that are not in your core value or go against your core value, you have to be honest about it with your spouse.
Yep.
You got to be honest with it. You got to say, you know what? I just really don't think we should be doing that.
Right.
I really don't think we should, watch those type of movies.
Come on, I was about to say the same thing.
I really don't think we should go to those type of places or do these type of things because that goes against my core value.
Right.
And your spouse may be like,
it's not a big deal to me. It doesn't affect me.
So you don't automatically just write each other off in those areas.
Right.
You talk about it. You be open and honest about it.
You communicate about, you may not do it all in that setting, but you come back and say, honey, I really feel strongly about having those types or watching those types of movies in the house, or listening to that type of music, or going to your cousin's house on the weekend when we know that this is going to be going on and that's going to be going on, and that's not how we live. You know what I'm saying? Having those open conversations. And the other side of the fence is that that person needs to be open to hearing their spouse and hearing their heart. I'm not saying that I don't like your family. I'm not saying anything bad about your family. It just does not align with our core values and what we represent.
All right, so we'll wrap it up with that. So we want to thank you guys as always for joining us. We are so just elated, if I can use that word.
It's a great word, babe.
At the support that we're getting from you guys. And so, as always, you can reach out to us. If you want to send us an email, we still have an email address. That's still some way you can reach us. Our email address is info at marriage matters to us. That's TOUS. Info at marriagematterstous.com. You can send show topics. You can do questions, or maybe if you and your spouse want counseling or whatever it is, reach out to us. And you can also, as always, you can follow us on Instagram at marriagematters0526. Also on Facebook. And we also want you guys to share these posts, share these videos, and on YouTube you can follow us and subscribe to us on YouTube, Marriage Matters on YouTube. And also we always encourage you to when you subscribe, click the bell next to the subscription button, and you'll get an alert every time we post a video. So
which
that's
is
all.
Usually on Sundays, guys.
Yeah, usually on Sundays. Yeah. So remember the challenge. Get your book, For Women Only, For Men Only, by Ashante Feldahan or Feldahan. I don't know, Feldahan, that may be the Louisiana in me, want to say hand, but it may be Feldahan. Anyway, you want to get those books, you can get it at Amazon, or you can go to her website. But we're looking forward to the challenge.
Yes, it's going to be so much fun. I'm looking forward to when we're all done writing the book. Reading the book.
But writing the book,
I received that writing the book. But reading the book and have the opportunity to chat about it with some other couples. So get your books, guys. Read your books and let us know if you're interested in being a part of that show.
So as always, remember, your marriage matters. We'll see you next week.